Well, folks, it is time that you hide your kids, hide your wives, because today we have a case of a man who claims that he was abducted by aliens, and they are not who you think they are. Yay! Lock yourselves in the basement tonight, guys, because the night is young and the Martians are here. YouTube is definitely gonna label this video, so like this video, subscribe if you're new. It's a pleasure to have you, and roll.
In early February 1989, a man got into his car in his native hometown Rotorua and drove to the city of Auckland, New Zealand.
New Zealand? Damn.
The journey from Rotorua to Auckland took 3 hours, which is normal.
Yeah.
When he got to his destination, he was met with cheers, sadness, happiness, anxiety, and every form of positive emotion from the people that greeted him. Even the police came around to see him. He was confused with this newfound celebrity status. He asked what the whole ruckus was all about, and that's when he was told that he had been missing for 10 days.
Nah. 10 days?
How did a 3-hour journey turn into a journey that lasted 10 days? This was the question that only the
Yeah, the Martians probably probed his ass. Let's be real. Man got probed. Man,
Alec Newald, could answer. The only problem was that Alec had no idea where he had been or how he had been missing for 10 days. When worried family members asked him where he had been, he was unable to give a clear answer.
And how many times we heard like cases like that where the person who claims they don't even know, but then their memory starts to come in, and there's like sometimes they do lie detecting tests, right? And there's another test that they do, I believe narcotics, I believe that's what you call it. Could be wrong, but apparently they put a patient in deep sleep state and then they ask questions and they're able to then answer. Any of you know what I'm talking about?
To top it off, he started suffering from terrible headaches, tiredness, and had trouble focusing. This was beginning to be the norm for Alec until he started remembering, bit by bit, and finally he remembered what happened.
Oh,
and his revelation was shocking to not just his family, but to the whole world. It turns out, Alec was abducted by aliens.
Yeah, there it is, boys.
I was driving the car one minute and the next the car was nowhere to be seen, and it didn't feel like I had a body, actually. That's where the death scenario comes into it. I felt totally as if I'd been put through a sieve. I think I mentioned that in the book. It felt like all the solid parts had been sifted out, and here I was in a sort of a glowing or a ghost-like entity drifting around, not really touching the ground, and having no walls of any description around me in a huge space, and all there was sort of, in the far distance, was some ghost-like entities. And
that was an interview where he described his abduction.
You believe it or you don't believe it. Obviously, we got a movie up ahead, but so far, right in the beginning, maybe it's gonna change your mind, maybe it's gonna change my mind, maybe at the end, some people might believe in the beginning, then they might not towards the end. Some of you might not be believing him right now, but you might at the end. But so far, what do you think? Believe it, not believe it? Put timestamps as well if you want.
Alec originally thought he was dead, and it was his spirit going from this world to the next.
Holy crap, imagine, right?
Then several weird-looking creatures appeared in front of him. At first, he thought they were ghosts, but they looked really weird that the idea of ghosts didn't sound plausible.
You imagine like you see like these little ass tweenies out there, and then you think that you're dead, right? And this is what happens when you die. You see like little tweenies like that, little Twinkies like that. Yeah, he was thinking he died though. Holy crap, man.
The creatures looked very thin, about average height, and had big heads and eyes that were very narrow. When compared to humans, their faces were bigger. It was then it dawned on him that these were aliens. Yeah. This is how they look. Even though they didn't say anything with their mouth, Alec could feel them in his head right away, like they were telepathically talking to him. "Welcome," he said. "I am the designated guardian of this section. Anything that you feel you might need to make your stay with us more pleasant, ask and I shall do my best to supply it. The suit you have been given will make it possible for you to understand us, and us you."
Holy crap.
That was what one of the aliens said to him. The alien told him he would not stop Alec if he wished to leave.
Like, why do you need the measurements? Like, these niggas needed measurements, right? They wanted to see like how big is your you feel what I'm saying? Bruh. Like they just needed measurements. That's what they cared about. Like, come on, aliens, like leave the humans alone, bruh.
but hoped he stay because they were willing to share so much knowledge about, well, everything to guide us.
But why him? Why him?
After this encounter, he was taken to their city, which Alec described in his book as being so neat and large that he could not make up their boundaries.
Nah.
Yes. He wrote a book about his experience titled...
Okay, I read some comments, and comment section is saying like his book cost like $300.
Bruh.
200 pounds, 300 US dollars, something like that. Well, this book that he wrote for that much can stay on Amazon, okay? Can stay on Amazon. $300? You kidding me right now, dog? Can a brother get it for 2 pennies? I cannot even afford a toothpick out here, and you're telling me like spend $300 to buy like this book? Come on, bro.
Coevolution, an interplanetary adventure. A quick search on Google and you will see where you can buy the book and read more on his adventure and experience.
Okay, 155. I saw 155
Alec's
for
description
shipping.
of the alien city made the building on Earth look small in comparison. There may well be bigger cities on Earth, but where I come from, this place would be rated big. Very big. It stretched out in both directions, following the coastline out of my line of sight. There seemed to be only a thin strip of land that was not coastline or desert, and the city was sandwiched within it. The last thing really to make an impact upon me was the lack of tall buildings, save for the odd tower or two, and the dominance of small circular shapes among a few larger pyramid-shaped constructions.
Holy crap, what? Pyramids there too?
They appeared to be made from a material that looked just like tinted glass or semi-transparent plastic.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't quite see the apex of these buildings from my vantage point, but later I was to find that they were capped with a spiral tower or antenna arrangement. The height of the tower added approximately 25% to the building's overall height. Each building in turn was topped with what I can only describe as a large light bulb. In his book, Alec made drawings of the building he saw. He went on and on about the architecture of the buildings he saw, even describing the house.
Shout out to YouTube, man. We're learning about it for free here, guys. This is what I love, man. YouTube is a wonderful platform, and if you guys are brand new, it's a pleasure to have you. Like and subscribe, hit the bell. We try to upload every single day, and we do content like this pretty regularly. Paranormal and UFO conspiracies, that's all what we do on this channel, guys.
And room he was staying in, and he was stunned by its beauty. But sightseeing wasn't the major reason why he was abducted. It was for the aliens to pass knowledge on to him, so that in turn, he would pass that same knowledge to others. According to the aliens, Earth's history has a lot of stories that have never been told. Most of this information about Earth's true history is now carefully guarded by a small group of hidden sects that are actively keeping this information from ever reaching the public. When reading that part, I wouldn't lie. It made sense to me. There are a lot of things about our universe only a select few know about, and the public is just left...
Okay, that sounds logical, right? It's like 1% of the 1% of the 1% that controls everything, so yeah, okay, makes sense. You cannot handle the truth, but you cannot handle the truth. That's what they always say, and this is why... And they always use this as a crutch to not tell us. Some suckers believe that it's the Anunnakis that made us, right? And I'm sitting here like, okay, if the Anunnakis made us, then who made the Anunnakis, right? Like, we have a conspiracy video coming out on that very soon. Maybe it's already uploaded at this time.
To fill in the gaps to the best of their abilities. However, these sects were not always secret when they were given this information. The original plan was for this ancient information to be shared with everyone. Yeah. But I guess plans changed.
Plans changed.
The alien talked about two species of the human race, Homo sapiens and the Cro-Magnon. Apparently, both Homo sapiens and the Cro-Magnon precursor species were created by humans. Around 70,000 years ago, the last pieces of the Cro-Magnon puzzle were put together. The Cro-Magnon was not the first humanoid that lived on Earth, but it was the first one that was designed to be a receiver or container. The one alien that revealed most of this information was a female alien known as Xena. She told Alec about how some of her people came to Earth, how some stayed back.
Did Xena leave you her number or something like that, bro? God damn.
While others moved on.
She leaking all the truth. She leaking all the secrets of the aliens right now of the Galactic Federation. Come on, bro. Come on, man. You didn't ask for the numbers.
Even the pyramids are ancient legacies left behind by some of her ancestors to help awaken us when the time is right. She talks about how the Earth is...
But when is the time is right, or when is the time gonna be right? I feel like the time is never right. You know, I was always told, and don't wait for the time, just make the time. You know, don't wait for tomorrow, just do it today. So why not apply that logic too?
Special and beautiful. And because of that, there are a lot of external forces that desire Earth for their own purpose. At this moment, reading the book, I kept seeing Darkseid from DC Comics, or Loki from Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah.
One riveting thing she shared and kept me wondering was about a dark force who came to Earth. The dark force wanted Earth for itself and got it. In such, according to Xena, the dark force is still among us. After this force won your planet, it realized it would have a continuous fight on its hands for you. Were not as you are now. You were well on your way to enlightenment, with a very strong spiritual base.
Okay, that's cool and all that we're getting this information, but to understand, like, he wrote this book. Nothing wrong with that, right? He want to share the knowledge, right? Share the knowledge. But why sell it for... We saw $155, but people in the comments were saying $300. That right now it's $300. Maybe the price has been reduced by the time you watch and you search. But like, okay, let's say... $200, okay, $200, bro. Like, if you want this information to get out there, you do not sell it for $200, bro. You don't sell it for $200. What are you doing right now? This is not the way to pass the knowledge to other Homo sapiens, my guy.
You were actually almost as strong as this force itself. It had to trick you in order to master you. And while you were down, it altered your makeup, your very structure. Your DNA, in fact. It crippled you and stunted you, and set you back many thousands of years. It made you into what you are today, which is only a portion of the greatness you can be, for you have not yet fully recovered. And if that force has its way, you never will. That force is known to most as the force of darkness, for it is indeed the enemy of enlightenment. It is in the air that you breathe and everywhere about you. It has aligned itself to the planet and you. Now, reading this part, I couldn't help but again draw similarities between different cultures that talked about how advanced humans were in the past, but war, greed, lust, and the dark heart of men made us lose so much. The Bible talks about a race of humans that were superior to everything until the Apple incident. And this alien just echoed her own version of it. A lot of mind-boggling narratives were shared between the two. She talked about an underwater base where she and her people live on Earth, and also how she is in contact with people in power, sharing knowledge with them to share with the rest of mankind.
But they did not?
But they deemed that the population was not ready for the message. If I don't believe anything in this story...
Okay, like, hold up, cut the cap. You know that guy, that ScaryAXE space guy, we did a video on it already. He came out, I believe, back in 2020, and he said that Trump knows about aliens, and he was, at one point, was gonna reveal the truth, but then the Galactic Federation was like, hold up, wait a minute, the humans are not ready. So, but this alien saying that, okay, your people are hiding the truth from you, your higher-ups are hiding the truth from you, but that the other guy's saying, like, no, bro, like, it's not. Trump wanted to reveal it, but it's like the Galactic Federation, they put a hand on Trump here, and they're like, you need to pump the brakes, you need to stop right now, don't reveal the truth, people are not ready. So, whose version is real? Who is speaking the truth? Well, kind of confusing right now, right?
I highly believe that one. Again, a lot of intriguing narratives with supposed proof and facts that make you question a lot of things.
Yeah.
I can't cover all of them. It would make this video way longer than it should. But you can get the book for yourself and read up on it.
Nah!
Finally, after the riveting...
Okay, I mean, I would love to get the book, but only if you hit me with the 3 Benjis right now, dog. If you hit me with 3 Benjis, I'll buy the book right now, okay?
...encounters, history lessons, ephemeral sightseeing, and rides in a spaceship. Yes, he was given a ride in a spaceship, and also lengthy talks about sex. Yes, that was also talked about. He was sent back to Earth, to the same location he was before the abduction. This would explain why to him, he felt time never passed, because he was in the same car. But in reality, he had just spent 10 days on an alien planet. When Alec released just a snippet of this information to the public, what happened to him next was nothing short of a thriller movie.
Oh shit.
There were no...
Okay, so far I gotta say, like I was asking you guys, like, do you believe the story now or not? And later on, we're gonna find out. I think now we're gonna get down to the evidence and the territory of, like, I feel like that he's gonna hopefully talks about the truth and what makes the story false. So we need like pro and we need against, right? We need both of these arguments, and because so far I'm like, I don't believe the guy. Like, I simply don't. Even though I'm a believer in the Alamos, okay, I believe the Alamos, but I just don't believe the story. Or maybe it's the way he's telling the story. This is why I'm not believing it, perhaps. But the biggest reason I'm not believing it is because, like, they're telling you to share the information, right? That's what he claims, that the Alamos, the aliens, they want you sharing the information. Why are you? Yeah, I guess you're sharing the information, but you're locking, I guess, the majority of the information behind a paywall, which, and the book is like, what, $300, something like that. I'm not. Yeah, that's the main reason why I'm not believing. But
words that could describe the events that happened to him next. The police, the SIS, the scientists, the CIA. Everyone wanted to know about these aliens Alec talked about, and they weren't asking nicely.
Holy crap.
He started noticing things. He was being followed. The same car he had never seen before was all of a sudden parked at the end of his street, just 2 houses before him. He decided to move to a new place and environment, but he was still followed. When they couldn't follow him anymore, they decided to make contact with him and ask him questions. At one time, he was weakly accused of being a Nazi just because his father's ancestry could be traced back to Germany.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he has lived in New Zealand.
It's like the same thing, like yeah. They always, like, one guy does something bad and then the entire race, the entire people gets the blame.
All his life. A funny accusation to Alec at the time. They said they could make life very uncomfortable for me if I was uncooperative.
Damn.
However, there didn't appear to be anything they could do to me at that stage, so I said,
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much for the friendly advice, and shut the door in their faces. That was another grave mistake on my part.
Yeah.
And it was. All of a sudden, Alec's life seems to be going from one bad experience to the other, all set up by these institutions. Alec had been a motor vehicle dealer, at least until 1987, until the stock market crash no longer made that a viable trade in New Zealand. Even though he was no longer a licensed motor vehicle dealer per se, he would still buy and sell. The odd car privately. One day he met a gentleman at a well-known car auction in Auckland City. He said his name was Jeff Wright and that he had access to cheap Japanese secondhand, imported cars.
Oh, that's a trap. That's a trap. Okay, so far, okay, based on this just small little account, I'm kind of believing the guy. I'm sorry, but right now I'm starting to believe the story just because of that. But again, though, we need evidence. Yeah, this is all like talk. You know, this is all just tell, no show. We need the show, not talk. But he's talking about it. If that's true, okay, seems believable. Or what if the guys were, the FBI, the CIA, if they were hearing the story and they were believing the guy based on, okay, maybe this guy's speaking the truth. We need to know what he knows. Maybe that's what was happening. It wasn't like they knew 100% that, yeah, okay, like this guy should not go out there and tell the world. What if they were also intrigued and they were like, okay, what if this guy's speaking the truth? We don't think he is, but what if? And if he is speaking the truth, let's extract the information from him. I feel like that's another argument, but you know what? Like whenever the CIA and the big wigs like that gets involved, then I'm like, okay, yeah, well, shit's really going down, and I'm like, okay, yeah, well, the guy's telling the truth. I'm just trying to make an argument, you know, for the sake of it, and looking at it from different angles, if that makes sense. Because so far we don't have any evidence, though.
Which were wholesale stock that was not required or was surplus to dealer needs, and he was looking to sell it. There was no reason for Alec to doubt what Jeff said, and after some investigation on Alec's end, decided Jeff was telling the truth, so he entered into a business with Jeff. They worked together for 9 months. Jeff would ring Alec whenever he had a car that he thought he might be interested in buying. Sometimes he would buy them. Other times, if he didn't have the money, Alec would turn them down. Little did Alec know all this was a trap to set him up.
Yeah,
apparently, the cars Jeff had been supplying Alec were all stolen, or so it appeared to the court. There were 6 cars involved in this setup. The police got so enthusiastic about it all that they even tried to prosecute him for cars that were not stolen. but he was in trouble, which was perfect for the agencies. The agencies had done a fairly good job. They cunningly let me stew on things for quite some time before they visited me again. It was just as you would expect. Cooperate, and we will fix things up for you with the police. I was determined to ride their bluff to the end. Alec was still stubborn, and his case, which shouldn't last at most 6 months, took up to 2 years, with recurring court appearances, over 20 in total.
Holy crap.
These people were meticulous and seemed to be able to reach into every corner of my life. There was no doubt they had done this type of thing before. But to whom and for what reasons? How many before me had been subjected to the same fate?
Yeah.
I was rapidly losing faith in every part of our so-called justice system.
Yeah, it's like, it's rigged. It's rigged. It's, once you're going against them, it's like, you know what I mean? But I'm assuming, like, the outcome is gonna be good. I'm assuming the outcome was good. I'm not sure how the story will end. Let's find out. Because so far, I'm like, yeah, I'm inclined to believe it, actually. Based on this stuff. But still, it does not, objectively, it does not mean 100% that what he's saying is the truth. There could have been a thing where, like, we were talking and I was trying to make other argument, even though I know, like, come on, right? Like, if the CIA is getting involved, shit's going down, right? But still.
I knew it was just a game for them, but this was my life they were playing with. Alec was broke, his assets taken away. He didn't even have money to hire a lawyer.
So they depleted
all
him
these
from
were just
all
to make
resources?
Alec talk about his interactions with the aliens. All that he learned, but for some reason, Alec said no to them. After 2 years of the case, he lost.
Of course. Yeah.
I had to serve half of my 12-month sentence following the trial. What it meant, in fact, was plenty of time to reappraise my situation with regard to writing this story in all its detail. It was no longer a private affair. The world had a right to know.
It was not
and that was what prompted him to write his book.
Okay. So I feel like that he did some time, and during that time he thought of it. What if, okay, like, listen, man, if this is really true, that's insane, right? Insane story, and right, but still, like, guys, we gotta, like, try and look for it from different angles as well, even though if you believe the guy or not believe the guy, because what if, like, he was put in jail for, like, a real reason, and then he tried to cook up like a false story to clear up his name. You feel what I'm saying, right? It could be that, but again, like, why would somebody, like, make up a story with, hey, abducted by aliens, and this is why they put me in jail? Why would somebody do that? Like, I feel like that's a lot of hassle. So yeah, I'm inclined to believe it, but still, it's like, what if, right? It's
so even if this
because this is a very big claim, guys. Like, this is not like, hey man, I went to the candy shop and I stole it and therefore they put me in jail. Nah, bro, like, this is a massive claim, bro. Like, two of the biggest questions are what happens after we die and are we alone in the universe or not? Simple as that. Like, this is a very, very big question, very, very big claim he made, and big claims require big evidence, man.
This was all fiction and made up. Why did the agency try so much to make him talk? This was before he published his book. The only logical argument was that they believed Alec's statement and wanted the information from him so badly.
Yeah, exactly.
Heck, if they could kidnap him and take him to a black site, they'd probably do that. But does that mean Alec is telling the truth?
Probably
Did he
not,
really meet
like,
aliens?
It's a big if.
The truth is, this sounds more like fiction than reality. Alec's claim that humans are related to aliens and that aliens are related to humans from the future and know how to move through time is
well, like, people have always assumed that, you know what, the UFOs that we see, it's probably us from the future. You know, this is yeah, people have made connections like that. People have assumed it's another, like, conspiracy theory. I wouldn't say conspiracy theory. I would more be like fascination and us just assuming and imagining things. It's one of those things. So
are related to humans from the future and know how to move through time is interesting.
Okay.
The ETs Alec met are almost extinct because of choices their ancestors, people from Earth, made. So they regularly go back in time to change things for the better in the present so they can make their own lives better, which is amazing and similar to almost all sci-fi stories. On top of all that, Alec writes in his book about a relationship he had with a female alien that he says was out of this world beautiful, both in a physical and figurative sense.
Alright, I get it. So this is why he did not talk about getting the number. Ah, makes sense. Because he did not want it to share that number. He did not want it to share that alien lady number with us Earthlings, right? Makes sense, makes sense. Man did Easter eggs with the outer space lady. And it was truly out of this world. I get it. It was truly out of this world.
It sort of froze when this thing sort of, if it had a face, was looking at me.
Like I said earlier, there were lengthy talks about reproduction. But that's not what makes me raise an eyebrow. It's this story.
I was actually walking a ley line. I was walking a dragon line to school, or intersecting one. And right on this park, on that dragon line, was where some, just like a lightning strike, it'd be a flash of light would come in that park and would draw my attention to it. And the thing that was happening around me at the time, people say, "Oh, well, how could you possibly go into a vortex or something without anyone seeing you?" Being a kid, you chase seagulls and that, you know, when you're young. And in the park, because this was close to a harbour, an estuary, and there were seagulls in this park, and I used to chase them. And whenever that light in that park would glow, seagulls in the park would freeze. So there was some sort of a time interference pattern set up there where obviously my time wasn't altered, and the beings that came out of that light didn't alter their movement, but everything around me was obviously frozen. So I could only imagine that anybody outside of that perimeter of that vortex was probably, my time was probably at 1,000 or 100,000 times quicker than theirs. So I should imagine that.
That interview is an hour long. The link to watch the whole thing is in the description below. Apparently, this wasn't the first time he had witnessed a UFO event. He had an experience as a child where he was the only one to see aliens. I mean, all of a sudden he remembers his encounters with aliens when he was a child. I don't know, it just sounds too fishy to me. And of course, to know more about this encounter, you had to wait and buy his third version of the book.
Oh,
the story he tells in that interview has a lot of holes. Why was he...
Yeah, like... Okay, I wouldn't say like selling books is like bad, but it's like whenever somebody... I mean, listen, first book, and he's talking about third book, right? So first book, $300, like, come on now, right? If had it been the book was like, what, $10 or something like that, understandable. At that point, I wouldn't say like he's lying. Some people would still be skeptical, understandably, rightfully so. But like $300 and you got a third version coming out? Nah. And you've done like how many podcasts? I'm assuming probably a couple or dozens of podcasts. I'm assuming because you're making these claims and the podcasters want to have you on because you know what, everybody loves talking about it. Yeah, right. Now, I'm not believing it, guys. I'm not believing it.
The only one who witnessed these aliens in the park. He claims the stuff was random and occurs rarely, but then again, in the same statement, talks about how the seagulls would freeze whenever the lights glow. He talks like this happens normally, or he has experienced this phenomenon more than once, and at the same, it was his first time. Okay. Didn't make sense at all.
If you are somebody that's believing, fair, okay, no disrespect, I wouldn't judge you. If you do believe it, tell me one reason why you believe it. Maybe that will change my mind, and maybe that can change like other people's mind, because right now, I don't believe it. And I'm a believer in the ALMOs, okay? I do believe in the extraterrestrial life. I do believe that we're not the only one here. I'm a believer, full-blown believer. If you have been around, you know that already. If you're new, I just wanted to let you know, welcome on in. I do believe it. If you don't, perfectly fine by me. We'll still be doing like these videos like that. So because I know like some people just want to watch it just to relax and think and imagine. It's like a guilty pleasure, right? I understand that. And others, they're asking questions, and there are others that believe it and they just want their belief to be reassured, reaffirmed, or there's a term for it, right? You're looking to get answers, and I totally understand that.
He even claims to have been prepped by the aliens when he was younger, trying to build a history of his life before his famous abduction, to create a narrative that he was predestined for that very event that happened in his life.
There was an actual movie that was based on like a similar plot, bro.
Like a prequel to a good movie.
I was being schooled from that age of 5, so you could sort of kind of tell there was something going to happen later on in my life which they were trying to prep me for, I guess. So even though you just accept these things as a 5-year-old, I just forgot about that stuff in later adult life. I mean...
Now, I am not saying with an accurate fact that aliens don't exist or rebutting the countless claims from others.
The
universe is too big to be the only one in it. But regarding Alec Newald's story, there are just a lot of holes that raise my eyebrows.
A lot of holes.
His actual...
And he went inside one of the hole he said earlier too, right? Yeah. That alien lady hole, yeah.
Actual abduction experience sounds riveting and real, considering the information shared in his book. But when you involve the experience he had as a child, an experience he claims to have forgotten, into the mix, the story starts to lose its hold and makes you wonder if he was actually abducted or he is just a good writer.
Yeah, I think writer. He's a writer.
Because I won't lie, the book is a good read, and even if you don't believe in his story of being abducted, the book itself makes a quite good fiction novel.
I don't doubt it, but for $300, like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. This book can stay on Amazon. Like the video if you agree.
Either way, I leave you with a word from Lord Admiral Hill Norton, former head of the British Ministry of Defence and chairman of the NATO Military Committee.
Uh-oh.
There is a serious possibility that we are being visited and have been visited for many years by people from outer space, by other civilizations. Who they are, where they are from, and what they want should be the subject of rigorous scientific investigation and not be the subject of rubbishing by tabloid newspapers.
No, I believe that. I believe that. And guys, this is one of the videos that we recently done. You're gonna love it. We had like UFOs at our shore just shooting green lasers. People were gathered there, so many people looking at this UFO in the sky and seeing what's happening. They're looking at it and it just glows. It just fires lasers. Click on this video on the screen and I will see you right there.